Listen only to the sound of my voice. Let your mind relax. Let your thoughts drift. Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Black Ops 3 realistic difficulty walkthrough. This is mission 5, it is the Hypocentre part 1. So this is one of the hardest missions in the game, but only for one section, right at the end, which is a boss fight. And then after that there is this weird swimming section that is a nightmare just because, you know, one bullet death, swimming, being timed, having to rush, getting past mines. You'll see. It's just really, really unfun. Additionally, there's some snipers here taking pop shots at me. They will kill you. The good news is, though, I am using this gun here, which I believe is the Man of War. Which I think is... Isn't it a jellyfish, the Man of War? Not quite as deadly as the box jellyfish, which isn't that the most dangerous jellyfish on the planet. Nasty bastard. But this is one of the most powerful assault rifles. Very accurate, very damaging, wonderful gun. It's a gun I wish I could use post this mission, but after this mission you're going to notice that I'm back to shit guns. And there are no shit guns on Call of Duty, there truly aren't. Which is completely wrong, because I guess there's one or two nasty ones. But for the most, every gun is capable, it's just preference. And I lost my save file after this and I had to play this entire level again. Wasn't happy at all, because it's one of the hardest levels in the game. And do not come up there, because the game will be like, get out of there please! Which is stupid. Also, this is the strangest moment of the campaign as far as skirmishes go, because there are dudes everywhere in a massive open space and there doesn't seem to be any point to any of it. Like, it's a massive open space, lots of scattered dudes, and then you kill them and you push on, and then it's Corridor Shooter 101 again. Really weird. That was close. Good news is, he cannot hip fire as well as I can, because I have a better gun for that, which is this Man of War beast. And I've just realised the game tells you the name of the gun, so me remembering that it was called Man of War is less impressive now I've spotted that. But all you need to do on this moment is thin the herd, pick up the ridiculous guns that these fucking AI... Look at this! Who puts this on a gun, dude? Why would you use that? Ugh. Stupid AI people. Up here is a rocket launcher. Whenever you find a rocket launcher, it's the game's way of telling you you'll need a rocket launcher. Pretty simple stuff. This will not supersede weapon slots, this will go into a third weapon slot. If you were watching Darkside Phil play, you probably got really frustrated like I did when he was on about how the game was being glitchy and buggy and it took his gun off him. Yes, because he couldn't figure out to press the right D-pad to change it. Which I can't say a thing, can I? I couldn't figure out on Halo to command my team. Just goes to show, everybody misses something, folks, but you can carry 3 guns on this game, and every so often the game will give you a power weapon, which is generally a rocket launcher, the micro missile launcher, or the Shiva with a suppressor, which is a lot different to the normal Shiva, because the normal Shiva does not one-shot kill people like that gun does. And I wish it did, because it gave me a massive hard-on for the Indian goddess, and then when I got it, it wasn't very good. Or as good as I wanted it to be anyway, because the robots take like 5 shots. Bastards. Johnny 5 wannabes. But I'm thinning the herd here, guys. You die from such distance, it's ridiculous. That's why I'm scared to push up. And what's going to happen, when you go towards the objective, it's going to trigger a robot. And then there's going to be a fight with a robot. And it's very simple, because I've got a very good spot. This is me trying to trigger something with the missile. Didn't trigger a damn thing. So I'm probably going to start moving up now. Have I mentioned that I think that this game's got massive Neil Blomkamp, I think his name is? Blomkamp? I can't remember his name. The guy who directed District 9. Got a lot of influences from that dude's work. I was half expecting us to go to South Africa at one point, or at least have people talking with that South African accent, because there are so many moments that really reminded me of his kind of stuff, with the robots and the kind of dystopian but relatable future. Never a bad thing either, I really like that. There's also a level later on that really reminded me of Dredd, the new Judge Dredd film. Because you're going up in a big building where a guy is hiding out, and it's very, you know, similar in theory, although it's not quite the same. Lots of cool moments of things that it's related to. However, this is a pseudo boss fight, and you're going to be fighting a few of these enemies in the game. These tanks are one of the worst parts of the game, because they have a very particular method of attacking them, and if you don't do what the game wants you to do, you will never kill it. And in some circumstances, doing this arbitrary 1995 first-person bullshit shooter mechanic is really difficult, and it makes certain sections way more harder than they should have been. The good news is, you can actually hack this enemy. If you have the upgraded hacking skill, you can control this tank. And I don't know if you can make it suicide, but I assume you can do something of that nature, and it will make these encounters way easier. At the time of recording, I didn't know you could do this because I didn't experiment with those upgrades at all. I played with a few of those skills, and because I can't swap between them, I went with Chaos. And what you do is, you shoot him in his balls until his balls soften, and then you fire a rocket at his balls. And that's what you do. You'll notice when he doesn't have the shield, because it shows you a little rocket insignia, and when he has the shield it has this kind of crazy, like, weird diamondy thing. If you shoot a rocket when his balls are protected, it won't hurt him. Don't waste rockets. You have to drop it with bullets. There's a fight later on where getting into proximity of that enemy to drop his skirt so you can hit his nads is really difficult to do. And did I mention he has infinitely spawning soldiers that one-shot you? He has infinitely spawning drones that mob you. He has infinitely spawning dropships that turn up and start shooting out of nowhere. That entire time. And he himself has a machine gun he's always firing, has rockets that will hit you regardless of where you are, and an artillery mode where he's firing constant air raid mortar rounds. Fun. Absolutely worthless. And it's all because he doesn't work as he should. Ideally, that creature should have a force field around it that you drop with bullets, that you can shoot any part of it and it drops, and then you can fire a rocket at any part of it. If it worked like that, there would be no issue with it, and I would like it a lot more than I do. As it stands, it is contrived for the sake of being douchey, and the best way to get rid of them is to control them. And you're not going to see that in this game, because I don't do it, which is a massive shame. But once I finish this guide, I'm going to go and experiment with that control to see if it makes the part that I had the most trouble with in this campaign any easier. And if it does, I'm going to put up a separate video. Because I put myself in an impossible situation and I tried to win it. And it took me 4 hours to realise that it was unwinnable. And I say it was unwinnable because I had a checkpoint with so many enemies in the world that were constantly spawning that I physically could not do anything to get to where I needed to be without dying. And I'm going to make a video about it, covering it, because it was so willfully bad. I have never had an experience like it. I've had moments where I knew it was possible, but it was going to take a while because I needed that one lucky run. And then there are moments where there's nothing you can do. Because it's not 30-second gamble and maybe you win after you try 100 times. It were a 30-minute gamble. And when you have to do anything for 30 minutes on the same checkpoint, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. And the worst part is, I killed the boss. Oh, I killed him. I got the prompt on the door, but when you get to the door, it doesn't trigger a cutscene. You have to survive opening the door, which is hold a button, and then when the door opens, no cutscene, no checkpoint, you have to get in. So it's just, it was impossible. And if I could give you my save file, I would. And I would say, if you can do this, and you can capture yourself doing this, I will give you £1,000. Because it cannot be done. It can't be done. It can't be done. And the worst part is once I realised I'd put myself in this scripting nightmare that was physically impossible, I realised it was the game fucking up, and it's not how it was meant to be. So I restarted the level, and guess what I did? I fucked it up again, but in a different way. I killed the boss before I killed the flying ship, and because I did it out of sequence, I got a weird checkpoint where the ship never died. It kept coming back, and all the enemies were coming back. So I had to get to the button with way more enemies than the game's meant to have. And I didn't know at the time. Because I just was like, you know, this is how it's meant to be, this is what realistic mode is, maybe it's just a little tougher, maybe it's a little different, because I don't remember that section being hard. And I'm there for an hour, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? This is just so strange. And then I start again, I do the entire level again, get up to that part, and I do it meticulously. I kill the side guys, so they're not there when I get the first checkpoint. I kill the first boss, get the checkpoint. It's a much easier path to the second boss, but before I do it, because I messed this up the second time, I run back. I get on a turret, I kill the flying thing. Then it gives me a checkpoint and it scripts the, "Oh, I don't know what you're doing, character, we're coming for you," bullshit. Then I run forward, get into the spot, kill the boss, and the music stops, the enemies stop spawning, and I walk up to the door and touch it and it's fine. 4 hours of my fucking life gone because the game didn't work. And nobody found it. But me. I sound really, really angry, and I'm not. I'm just bitter. And it's worse. It's really worse. Frame rate in this room is in the toilet as well. When these enemies spawn, for some reason, the frame rate in this really open space, it's really difficult to stay high. But there is a checkpoint. If you have immolation at this point, it's incredibly useful. Immolation will absolutely jack these dudes when they spawn. You're going to get attacked by robots gone rogue, and there's a lot of them. So I come over to this particular piece of concrete, and be careful clipping here, because the amount of times I got killed was kind of silly. They're just really good at shooting down on you and hitting you when you don't think they should. Also, when they land, they're going to flank. I only ever got flanked from the left, so pay attention to your left, because when they start dropping in, you want to shoot the shit out of their kneecaps before they get close. If an enemy can see you at this range, it's a gamble. Like this dude. There is no guarantee I'm going to win this gunfight. There just isn't. Because if they decide to kill me, I'm dead. Entirely up to them. And you'll notice I've got a side shotgun here because I have copycat. I recommend picking up a secondary shotgun. It's going to make the boss of this level much more manageable. Oh, that boss. The boss of this level was the first part of the game when I really started thinking that this might need a walkthrough and that this is actually going to be really tricky. Because it's horrible. The good news is, if you use that ability to get a revive when you die, it's going to make it much easier. Way easier. Because the problem is not what you have to do, it's that once you do what you have to do, you have to run to the central chamber to trigger a cutscene. And crossing the distance from where you are to that chamber is the same as COD 2 D-Day. You know that section when you came out of that underground area and there was just no man's land and all that programmed fire that murdered you instantly and you had to run forward into the smoke and pray? It's that. Only if you fuck it up, you're not bang where you started and you're running again through that stupid section. Here, you have to fight off a bunch of robots, listen to a bunch of expositional bullshit, and then you have to fire a rocket at a core before you can even try it again. And that's the issue.
Problem at your end?
The boss fight would work perfectly if it checkpointed every time you blew a core up. But it doesn't. And the checkpoints it does give you, you're going to have some real fun. And I've been thinking, as we move into this slightly more atmospheric section, really liked this section, scared me more, atmosphere-wise, made me tense, than any of the Amnesias I've played, any of the other games in the horror series, you know, like your Resident Evils and stuff. This sequence gave me chills, legitimately. Only for one moment until I realised what was happening and then I was cool again. I have absolutely no idea how I seem to forget just how bad the nights and the weeks around Bonfire Night are for fireworks. I must have a selective memory for this shit. I don't remember arseholes being this willing all fucking week. I just don't. And it's funny because my girlfriend hates fireworks. She doesn't like Bonfire Night at all. And I'm like, how can you not like Bonfire Night? But now, I want to fucking choke everybody. Every single one of them. There could be a 7-year-old kid who shouldn't have a firework. I want to feed it him when it's lit.
What the hell?
Like, it's turning me into a terrible person. But, what I was saying anyhow. Yeah, the early moments of this level, legitimately creepy. I liked it. Because I didn't really know what to expect. Then when you realise that the robots are just going to come alive and all of them run at you and instantly kill you when they punch you, it's a little less tense. But it's still kind of cool, because it's not anything I've really experienced in COD before, outside of... Can you remember the suicide kamikaze guys in World at War? Who used to run at you, shouting bonsai and try and bayonet you? And they came out those little grass pockets? Those dudes were funny. Or the guys in the trees. God, those tree guys. That is a hard game. That is a legitimately tricky game, that. But it's only like 4 areas of it that I think are very hard. Most of it on veterans very manageable, but those 3 or 4 areas, good God. And why is it difficult? Because of checkpoints. Once again. And I will forever fight to my dying breath that difficulty should not be dictated by checkpoints. It should be dictated by what is expected of you. It should be skillful. You know? Look at Transformers Devastation. Any enemy in that game can kill you in a second. Which is why you get a checkpoint after almost every fight. So that it's fair. If you had to do 5 fights in a row, in different areas without a checkpoint, I won't play that game. But that game understands what it is, and it understands legitimate challenge. It should be a challenge on your abilities, not on your ability to sustain over long periods of time, because that's not cool. It's the same with this whole infatuation with permadeath. Permadeath isn't difficulty. Permadeath is taking a game and making it miserable. Why would you willingly want to make your game miserable? But then you realise there are some people who legitimately enjoy that feeling. You know, they want to feel like death is important, that death has value. You know, the highest cost possible. Oh, by the way, when Kane starts speaking to you, it means that you've killed everybody in the area. I'm still looking for a better gun, because I'm always under the hopes that I'm going to find some kind of super gun that's going to help later on, and I can keep it on backup to take on something tough. And this Call of Duty just doesn't work like that. Halo did, and I liked Halo for that. I love taking in powerful equipment. Oh, by the way, any robots on the ground are playing dead. If you get a hit marker, it means it's alive, so kill it. But right now is the first moment where you realise that the story isn't what you thought it was. And we've already pretty much confirmed after the... How long have we been doing this for, Hendrix? I don't know, about 5 years. Ever since that moment is the part I realised it wasn't going to be source code, and we weren't going to be going into all these different futures and these different simulations and trying to change things and help get information. And I think if the game had committed to that, it would have been better. Because I love the presentation of them freezing the game, like mid-explosion and mid-weird camera angle, and then somebody talking to you. I love the idea of, you know, this is insert cool area. There was supposed to be X, but terrorists did something bad. We're here to find out and give that information back. You know, was it Deja Vu that was like that? Where they try and stop things prematurely? Like a little bit Minority Reporty? That is cool. I think that's a great premise for a game. But this game just kind of left it behind, unfortunately.
Lights out ahead.
But we're pushing towards the boss coming up.
Copy that.
I think the boss is in a separate video. I could be wrong though, guys. This is when the game is committing to being quite tense. You'll notice there's not been too much combat, and the music is definitely building the dread. And then there's a wonderful little sound clip here.
You got the door open, Hendrix.
Listen.
I didn't open it.
There it is. So something opened the door for you. Something wants you here. And then you'll notice your abilities are out in this room. And then when you push forward, I think the lights go out. And it's a really cool idea, because it's something that I'm actually quite scared of.
We got more test subjects
Waist
in
deep
here.
water with the potential of something coming out of it. It's the thought. Objectively, fundamentally, there's nothing really scary about it. But the thought of something coming is really, really scary to me. And I don't know why. I can swim. I don't generally fear water, even though my mum conditioned that rivers tried to drown you when I was younger, which did a lot of damage, but I'm still here. But just the thought of moving through dark water when it's like waist up and not knowing what's in it, I think that thought is just terrifying. So this kind of is a really cool section. The problem is it's too dark. Your muzzle flashes do not dynamically light the environment, and they should. It makes it look really flat and silly. And you're completely safe here because nothing comes behind you. The only scary part about this is your own imagination. The game itself is very simple. A couple of robots and you're done. But the dread of what could happen that actually doesn't happen, that's where real fear builds. The old Hitchcockian bomb under the table analogy. Also, the sound is very important. The robots take a long time to get steady and started, and they make a lot of noise when they do it, so it's very easy to progress, but it's very dark. So going to the main room, there is another dude going to spawn in here by the steps as we push towards it. There's one guy just there, and there's one to your left. You see the splash? And that's all of them. So it's not a tricky section, it's not a long section, it's actually got quite a lot of brevity to it. I enjoyed it. I just wish that the guns dynamically lit that hallway, because I think it would make it look a hell of a lot more interesting than it does. Okay, so we are now coming towards the boss. This is your last opportunity to make sure you have all the gear going into this fight. I recommend a side shotgun, but you don't need it. I recommend a gun that you enjoy, and if you want an easy path through this boss, I recommend putting on the second chance ability, the last stand, the final stand, whatever it's called. It's going to pick you up when you die move. If you don't have it unlocked or you're not high enough, if you put the field kit on, it will give it you for this mission. Bear in mind, every time you go to a resupply, the field kit changes situationally, so you want to make sure that you don't accidentally swap to one that doesn't have it. So make sure you look at those two little equipment pieces to make sure that it's there. And if you have that, this boss is a joke, because on the bit where you have to run to the core, you don't have to worry about being instantly murked. You'll go down, and then you'll have another chance to at least boost forward or run dash, slide, double jump, whatever you can do. Just sing and dance, whatever you can do to survive. Because this game has a lot of bosses too. It's quite a novel feature, the notion of actual boss fights. But I don't think most of them are any good. I didn't like any of them except for the sniper one, because all the others were just really formulaic and unrealistic mode. Formulaic just means more time for you to fail. The checkpoint here is going to be just as you enter this next room. And if you haven't noticed, we're going to be fighting Diaz, who was the guy who taught us how to use some of our abilities at the beginning of the game. Remember how I said it's doing a red faction too? Pretty much is. Get used to this room as well. I was here for a while. The fight is not difficult. You have to wait for the rod to reveal itself, and then you have to destroy it. Then once you've done that, you have to run to the central column and trigger a cutscene. You have to do that 3 times, and on the final phase you have to protect what's his face? Guy who I always remember I forget his name. Hickins, Dickens, Dawkins, Walkins, I don't know. Your friend. You have to protect him. And then you're done. And then it's a horrible escape sequence. But it ain't easy, folks. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.